If you think this looks bad, you should see the other guy's engine. So as you can see, the engine is now completely disassembled and scattered all over my garage floor, and I'm able to give you a complete autopsy report now. I know exactly what happened to the engine, and I'm going to share that with you right now. Let's go back to where everything started with this lifter right here. What we know is the roller is all tore up, and I wasn't sure what had caused that. Well, I have a much better idea now. I've taken a closer look at the lifter tray, and as you might be able to see, this is where that lifter was riding. You can see how it's all scuffed up on the bottom and the top edges there. If I get the light just right, yeah, you can see how it's all squared up in the others. Other bores look perfect. That happened because the lifter was spinning in the bore. It wasn't running straight on the cam anymore. And the way I know that is by looking at the cam itself, which I have right here. And here is that lobe. And you might be able to see that the roller dug right into that cam lobe and took a ton of material off of that cam lobe. So not only did I have reduced lift on that exhaust valve, that's where all the knocking noises were coming from. So that was the problem for sure. The lifter spun in the bore. I don't know why it spun in the bore and why the other 15 were absolutely fine, but that is where we stand right now. So now that I know what went wrong, I have some decisions to make as to how to rebuild the thing. And well, this is where you might have the opportunity to own some of the original Josh's Car Corner GTO engine, because some of this stuff is now going to be for sale. Example right here, the heads. I've decided in the upgrade, these will no longer be required. These are the original 243 castings that have been ported and polished. They have the factory valves in them, so nothing bigger there, but they have been upgraded with these PAC 1219 X springs, all of which are absolutely fine, and they've got brand new seals and retainers, at least as of 6 years ago. You'd probably want to replace the seals, but the retainers are all good. And with those updated springs, I'm going to be asking $800 for these heads, because to get a set of heads ported usually costs $400 to $500, and you get the springs. I think I spent $220 on these springs initially, so I figure that's a good price, $800. Be a great upgrade for somebody with an LS1, or if you just have a bone stock LS2 and you want a little bit more performance out of it, these would be a great upgrade for you. Next thing that's going to be for sale is the MSD Air Force intake that I barely got to use. It's brand spanking new. It was on the car for an hour's runtime. And as you know, it's completely stock. This is a cathedral port head one, so you have to use it on an LS1 or a 2 or a 6. But it is perfectly good. These retail for $1,000. I will sell it for $800, and I think I even have the original box still. Or if I don't, I'll package it really nice and ship it to you if you want that. This isn't for sale, but I thought you'd get a kick out of this. This is the LS7 clutch that I have had in the car since 2013, and if you look at it, I dropped a bit of oil on it when I was taking things apart, but it has not completely wore out, and this thing has got some hard launches on it. Even this side is not that wore out. It held up very well. The pressure plate, it doesn't have any real defined hot spots in it, but it's definitely got some hot dots. And the flywheel, here's my lightweight Finanza flywheel. That's also got some hot dots, but no real defined hot spots. And the great thing about this is, you see all the screw heads there? I will be able to take this friction disc off and replace it with a brand new friction disc and keep my lightweight Finanza flywheel. These headers are the next thing that are going to be for sale. Now, as I've said in previous episodes, these are the Stainless Works version 1 3/4 inch long tube headers. And the only thing about these is that in order to run them without any issues, you want to get the Hinson supercar mounts just to keep the engine from rotating over. And the other one is actually sitting here in the engine bay still because I haven't disassembled the steering rack to get it out. But if you get these mounts, and I will be getting some brand new ones because these ones have been in here for 7 or 8 years, actually more than 8 years, and they're a little warped in their shape. So I'll probably get some new ones. But these headers are also ceramic coated, and while the coating is a little beaten up, it's all still there. So I will let these headers go for $750. The next item is going to be the original factory T56 transmission. I'm going to be selling this for a couple of reasons. One, you didn't see it when I was at the dyno, but when I would get to the top of a pull and put the clutch in, the input seal was peeing transmission fluid all over the place, and it was dripping out of the bell housing. I'd known this thing has had a leak for a while, and I didn't realize how bad it was until I saw that video. The first and second gear synchros are also getting a bit weak too, so it will need a complete rebuild. But I know there's some guys out there who want a spare T56 or they want to have one beefed up. This would be a great core for a build-up project if you want to build one up. And I would like to get $1,000 for this. I think that's a fair price for what's effectively a core that needs to be rebuilt. The reason I can get rid of this, and this is something else I didn't tell anybody, is I got the opportunity to pick up what is in this box. And before I tell you what's in this box, I'm imagining you already know, but I will show you anyway. Lying in here, and I bought this before the engine went south, by the way, is my brand new T56 Magnum transmission that I spec'd out. In particular, it's got the 266 first gear ratio set, so it's the close ratio pack. But what I had them do is take the 6th gear, which on the close ratio pack is normally a 0.63. I had them change it to a 0.5 from the tall ratio pack. So I'm going to have a good highway 6th gear because I have those 373s in the back. So it'll just make for a much better low RPM at highway speed cruiser. And then I'll have 5 gears for the track that are nice and close together. So don't worry about me having a gearbox. I've got that covered. Things you cannot have, the carbon fiber drive shaft. I'm totally keeping that. Although with the T56 Magnum, I do have to get the front yoke replaced with a 31 spline because the T56 Magnum, one of the big upgrades is the output shaft is a 31 spline and the factory box is a 27 spline. Also for sale is going to be my factory LS2 intake manifold that has been ported, although I will throw a little caveat in there. Last time I was torquing it down, this right here was starting to expand a little bit. I was torquing it the normal torque spec and the bolt kept going and it started to open this up a little bit. So if you put a big washer on it, it's fine. And it isn't cracked or anything, but it is a little damaged. And for that, I think it's only fair to ask $100 for this, as opposed to what people might ask $150 or $200. People have been asking me about what parts I use to make the 4-port steam vent system. So here it is. I'll try to explain it in detail here. So what you've got is on 2 corners, you've got these normal Earl's 90-degree steam vent adapters that just take the feed and then shoot it out this hose fitting here, and you can rotate it, orient it the way you want it to make your hose come out. And the other 2 use the same thing, except they've also got this fitting that comes vertically out the top. So steam pressure, so look, if you look here, this is the back corner. So this vent pressure comes over to here and then comes up, everything comes up this fitting and out and around to the front of the engine. I'm going to put the part numbers up right now. What I can tell you is this is Earl's SpeedFlex hose, and these are all from their Dash 3 fitting line. They do these steam vent things in Dash 3 and Dash 4. I didn't think Dash 4 was necessary for vent lines, so I just went with all the Dash 3 stuff, and I think it fits a little better too. So here's the part numbers that you need if you want to do this for yourself. I'll be honest, I don't know the exact total for what this all costs. I'm gonna imagine it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 to $300. One of the big drivers of that is I got 10 foot of this SpeedFlex hose. I didn't need 10 feet. I don't think I used even half of it. Now you may be wanting to ask me, Josh, what are you going to do with the engine? Well, I have decided I'm going to keep that close to the chest. I've got a really good idea of what I want to do, and I think I'm going to be able to pull it off. I think it's going to be something you've only seen maybe once or twice before with an LS2. I'm hoping it is, and I'm hoping that it's something that once I've done it, it will inspire more people to do it. Because I know what a lot of people want to do with these engines. They want to blow them or put turbos on them or put these ridiculous stroker cranks in them with tons of cam in them, and they just lope and lope and lope, and then they don't really run good on the street, but they make great numbers on top, and you know how the internet goes. Everybody loves their numbers. I'm not all about that. I want to make more power, but I still want this thing to drive really nice. So it's going to be built with that in mind. So hopefully you'll be stoked for the build, and I'm hoping the parts for it start to come together sooner than later. I've got about 4 months to rebuild this thing before I need it to be running for some friends that are going to be coming. Remember those people I hung out with in Australia and went to the track day with? They're coming to SEMA, and I want to be able to take this thing to SEMA to show it with its new engine to them, and they're going to come stay with me for a few days afterwards, and I'm hoping we can get some sort of a car event going that they can come hang out with and enjoy while they're here. I want to show them as good a time as they showed me. So this thing needs to be running by then. I've got my plans. I'm going to try to keep doing more updates and content on this build as things progress. I want to keep this updated. I want to make this the most active year I've ever had for the show. And hopefully by the time it's done, I'm going to have with a really amazing build that you've never seen before, and it's going to be something special. Buying these parts helps me out, helps me fund the project to continue this build and provide you with more content for the show. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about buying something. So once again, thanks for watching Josh's Car Corner, and I'll see you soon. Like what you just saw? Let me know with a thumbs up, or by subscribing and clicking that little bell so you know when new episodes come out. And be sure to join the new Facebook group I set up too for Josh's Car Corner.